Hey everybody, welcome to Band Advice TV. Not too long ago, I kicked off a series on reducing the stage volume where I kind of featured the SansAmp GT2 pedal. Well, today we're going to talk about my go-to. It's the Mooer Radar. I'm your host, Mark Allen V. This is tips, tricks, giggles, and stuff. Okay, so for me, one of the coolest technological advances in the music business in recent years has got to be the invention of the IR, the impulse response. I mean, just the idea that you could sit there and take the way a speaker reacts to a signal that's hitting it, build this algorithm around it so that when your guitar signal hits that algorithm, it then transforms it into a nearly identical sound that that speaker would. And then you throw it into a little pedal this size, and you can go and just plug straight into a board. It's like, man, that's a game changer for me. I don't see myself ever carrying an amp to a gig again. Maybe to a jam session or something like that, but never to anything where we're dealing with a board and have a decent sound guy. Now, there are several that have hit the market in recent years, and just like anything else, you're seeing the price point drop quite a bit. The last video that I did, I was on the SansAmp GT2. Well, today I'm going to go ahead and run through the Mooer Radar. This is the one that I use. I just saw a video for it a couple of years ago for the price point of about 150 bucks. I said, what the heck? Threw it on my board. Haven't plugged in my amplifier at a gig since then. Let me kind of run through some of the specs that their spec sheet talks about, and then we'll plug this bad boy in and so you guys can hear how it goes. So according to their spec sheet, the main features are 30 different mic cabinet models, 11 mic models, 4 power amp models, customizable EQ, capable of loading your own IRs, loading custom IRs. You can store and recall up to 36 user presets, and of course it's got a USB connection, supports headphones and line out. All that in this nifty little package. So, like a lot of the other cab simulators out there, there's several ways that you can configure this and use it. So let's kind of go through each one of those real quick. First, if you're a pedal enthusiast, you can go ahead and run your guitar through your pedal board, the pedal board into the radar. You're going to want to go ahead and engage the power amp on here as well as the cab simulator. Choose which cab sim you want to use. And then from there you can go out to your board, to your DAW, or to your headphones. Now, if you're a little bit more of the minimalist player and you prefer just getting an amp that's got a good preamp sound to it, you can go ahead and, if they happen to have a micro preamp pedal that emulates, say, your Marshall or whatever, you can just go from your guitar into that preamp, into the radar. Once again, you're going to want to have your power amp simulator on as well as your choose your cab simulator. Now, one of the really cool things about this is that if you're one of those that really loves the sound of your preamp and your amp happens to have an effects loop on it, you can come out of the sound on your amp and go into the Mooer Radar, and it'll totally bypass your power amp and it'll bypass your speaker, but you'll still get that tone from the preamp that you've loved. Once again, on this, you're going to want to have to engage the power amp model on here as well as the cab simulator. Now, this last configuration here, that's for those of you guys that just absolutely love everything about your amp. The preamp, the power amp. You just don't want to haul that 412 cabinet around anymore. Well, you can run your power head into the radar, but you've got to use a load box though, because if you're not going to have those speakers on there to do that ohms drain off of there that provide that resistance, it's going to burn out your power amp. So you have to have a load box between your amp head and the radar. And in this case too, you'll then turn off the radar's power amp model on here. You'll just strictly use the cab itself. Now, there's a couple other things on here that you guys are going to want to spend some time playing around with because it's just really cool. One of those being is the mic models. So you have 11 different mics that you can choose from, and you could choose the XYZ position of those mics compared to the cone, which you can really, once you get your headphones on there and you're playing around, you can really hear the difference on it. All right, so enough talking. Let's go ahead, and I'm going to go ahead and fire this bad boy up and play some tunes for you. All right, so here we go. All right, so there you have it, the Mooer Radar. Cab simulator, multiple amp models, 11 different mic models and positioning on them, EQ, the ability to load your own IRs, all that packed into this handy little pedal for about 150 bucks. To me, well worth it. A lot of fun. Give you a chance to try out different stuff and good old time with it. Now, I do want to say a couple of things. First and foremost, this, as well as with all of my other product demos that I do, unless I say so, it's all out of my own pocket. I paid for it or traded for it. I'm not being compensated for it. I'm not, the product has not been sent to me. I've not been hired to do any reviews. This is just me trying stuff out and spreading the knowledge, spreading the love. So that being said, there are a couple things that I wasn't too crazy about. First and foremost is the Mooer Radar Studio software. As soon as I got it, immediately asked you to upgrade the software and to upgrade the firmware on the device. So you had to get the software and then update the firmware. Had a hard time getting the software to install. I was running a little bit of an older MacBook, so their version wasn't working on it. Tried it on a PC and it set off my virus protection, which made me a little leery. So I did, took the PC off the network and, did my stuff, then put it back on. Got it to work. But it did take several times to get the firmware to update. So, and you have to have the studio in order to load IR. So you're kind of stuck. You have to do it. The other thing I don't care for about it is that it requires a 12-volt power supply. And it comes with the power. It comes with the device, the 12-volt power supply. The brick does. So I mean, if you're running, if you're running a pedal power brick on there, and unless it has 12 volts, you're gonna have to have a second outlet that you're gonna plug into. Which, if you had an amp, you'd have at least one more outlet to plug into anyway. So, minor little thing, but if you haven't checked out my other video, the Sans amp GT2, give that a check. It's got some cool built-in stuff to it. Theirs is more built-in and not quite as customizable as the Mooer Radar is. But anyway, so enjoy. Let me know what you guys think. If you give it a try, if you have a chance to play around with it, especially if you get a chance to try it with your amp head and your load box, or if you try putting it into your effects loop. I'm going to play around with that. I may do a follow-up video on that when we throw it in my effects loop at some point in time. So anyway, enough of my rambling. Thanks for coming to the channel. My name's Mark Allen V. This is Band Advice TV. Tips, tricks, giggles, and stuff. Peace.